Do you want to speak English confidently in just one adventure? Follow three friends as they explore the mall, library, and playground while learning English in fun ways. Easy English Official welcomes you. Today, we're going on an exciting journey with Alex, Sara, and Chris. They are learning English while having fun in real-life adventures. You'll see how everyday places can become amazing English classrooms. Join us and discover how speaking English can be simple, fun, and full of surprises. Whether it's shopping, visiting a museum, or enjoying a playground, every moment is a chance to practice and improve your English. Chapter 1. The Shopping Mall Lights. It was a bright and fresh morning, with soft sunlight spilling over the streets. Alex, Sara, and Chris woke up early, feeling a bubbling excitement for their school holiday adventure. They packed their bags, making sure everything was ready for a day full of first-time experiences. The thought of speaking English outside their classroom made their hearts race with anticipation. As they stepped into the huge shopping mall, a wave of colorful lights and cheerful noise greeted them. The sparkle of the ceiling lights reflected on shiny floors, creating a magical atmosphere. Sara clutched Alex's hand and pointed at a massive fountain, its water dancing in rhythm. Chris laughed, feeling the mall was alive with endless possibilities. Every shop they passed had something new to discover, from bright clothes to shelves stacked with toys. Alex stopped in front of a bookstore, mesmerized by a wall of colorful storybooks. Sara's eyes widened at a candy store, the aroma making her mouth water instantly. Chris found a small cafe and imagined sipping hot chocolate with laughter. Together, they moved like explorers in a world filled with wonders. The escalators carried them up and down, giving a glimpse of every corner of the mall. They noticed families laughing, friends chatting, and little children running around in delight. Sara suggested trying the indoor playground first, and the others agreed eagerly. The sounds of children playing and soft music made the place feel alive. The mall felt like a small city of joy, and they wanted to explore every inch of it. At a corner, they spotted a performance area with a small stage and colorful decorations. A magician was preparing his tricks, and a crowd started gathering. Alex whispered that it looked fun, and Chris nodded in agreement. Sara felt her excitement doubling, imagining themselves learning English while watching the show. Every moment felt like an adventure, blending learning and play naturally. They stopped by a fountain again, watching coins sparkle underwater as people made wishes. Sara threw a coin, laughing and saying, "I wish our day will be unforgettable." Alex and Chris joined in, tossing coins and laughing together. The simple act of wishing added a magical touch to their morning. They felt like they had stepped into a storybook where everything was possible. The aroma of fresh popcorn led them to a small kiosk near the cinema. They bought a few snacks, sharing them while sitting on a bench. The soft chatter of the crowd around them made the day feel cozy. Chris suggested planning their next stop carefully, making sure they didn't miss anything exciting. Their adventure was just beginning, and they felt unstoppable together. Sara spotted a bright carousel spinning with cheerful music, and her eyes lit up. Alex and Chris smiled at her joy, knowing they had to try it. They ran toward the ride, feeling the breeze on their faces and laughter escaping naturally. The carousel felt like flying through a world of lights and colors, filling them with pure happiness. Every spin was a small celebration of friendship and freedom. After the carousel, they explored a small art corner displaying colorful paintings and creative crafts. Sara admired the paintings, imagining herself creating something similar one day. Alex was fascinated by a sculpture made of tiny metal pieces that seemed alive. Chris found postcards with inspirational quotes, smiling as he read them aloud. They realized that even small details could make a huge difference in their memories. A little later, they discovered a quiet corner with a cozy reading area and soft cushions. The friends sat down for a short rest, flipping through storybooks and chatting about their favorite characters. Sara suggested reading aloud to practice English, and the others agreed happily. Each story felt like a doorway to another world, blending learning with excitement effortlessly. Time seemed to fly as they continued exploring, tasting, and learning together. Every shop, every corner, every sound contributed to a day filled with adventure. Alex, Sara, and Chris felt closer than ever, sharing smiles and small jokes along the way. They realized that even a simple trip to a shopping mall could become an extraordinary journey of friendship and discovery. As the afternoon sunlight started to fade through the large glass windows, the friends sat near the fountain one last time. They shared their favorite moments of the day, feeling proud of trying new things and speaking English confidently. Sara whispered, "Today is perfect," and Alex and Chris nodded in agreement. Their first adventure outside had ended, but the memories and laughter would stay forever. Chapter 2. The World of Books. The bookstore was on the second floor, quiet and inviting, filled with rows of colorful books. Chris whispered with excitement, "Books are my world," feeling completely at home. The friends walked carefully between tall shelves, discovering stories from every corner of the globe. Alex picked up a book with a funny cover, and they all laughed together. The illustrations on the cover made them giggle, and even Sara pointed at the silly characters with a smile. Chris flipped through a few pages, fascinated by the stories and the words he could learn. Alex noticed words she didn't know and tried to read them aloud. Each new word made them feel proud and motivated to speak more English. They found a corner full of adventure books with heroes, dragons, and magical lands waiting to be explored. Sara imagined herself on a flying dragon, soaring over mountains and rivers. Alex pretended to be a pirate, searching for hidden treasure on a secret island. Chris laughed, creating a story aloud about a talking cat saving the world. Next, they explored a section of comic books filled with vibrant colors and action-packed illustrations. Chris showed Alex a comic with a silly superhero, and they laughed at his funny expressions. Sara read some dialogues, practicing her English pronunciation carefully. The stories felt alive, and the friends could not stop smiling at the fun and creativity around them. They wandered to a shelf of classic stories, with covers worn by time, but full of wisdom inside. Alex carefully selected a book and flipped through the pages. Sara found a story about friendship that reminded her of their group. Chris picked a book on science experiments, excited to try some at home. Each choice reflected their interests and inspired them to explore more. A corner dedicated to picture books caught Sara's attention. The bright images and simple words were perfect for practicing reading together. Alex read a page aloud, and Chris helped with tricky words. They laughed at the funny animals and colorful scenes, enjoying learning without even noticing the time passing. The friends discovered a quiet reading nook with soft cushions and small tables. They sat together, each with a book in hand, sharing their favorite parts aloud. Alex pointed at words she had learned and felt proud of remembering them. Chris found new expressions and phrases to try in their conversations. The bookstore became a place of learning and joy. Sara suggested looking at foreign language books, curious about how English words compared to others. Alex and Chris followed, comparing translations and noticing similarities. Each discovery sparked questions and excitement to learn more. They felt like explorers in a world of words, discovering cultures through books. Chris stumbled upon a shelf of humorous stories and began reading a funny paragraph aloud. The friends burst into laughter, attracting smiles from nearby readers. Alex and Sara joined in, reading sentences together, practicing their English in a playful way. They realized that learning could be fun and interactive. They explored a corner with storybooks about animals and nature. Sara read about a clever fox, Alex about a brave lion, and Chris about a curious dolphin. They imagined the animals coming to life, sharing adventures with them. Each story taught them new vocabulary while creating laughter and excitement. Time passed quickly as they immersed themselves in reading and discovering. They compared stories, laughed at illustrations, and practiced English phrases naturally. Chris, Alex, and Sara felt closer than ever, sharing a love for books and learning together. The world outside could wait. The bookstore had become their magical place for the day. Before leaving, they found a small section of inspirational quotes and motivational stories. Sara read a quote aloud. "Learning is the key to every adventure." Alex and Chris nodded, feeling encouraged to keep exploring and learning. They left the bookstore with hearts full of joy and heads full of new words, ready for the next adventure in the mall. Chapter 3. Superheroes in the Dark. The movie theater was dark, with only the glow of the big screen lighting up excited faces. Chris, Alex, and Sara found their seats, clutching popcorn and whispering eagerly about the movie. A new superhero film was about to begin, and the air buzzed with anticipation. Alex whispered, "I am ready for this," feeling thrilled with the upcoming adventure. Sara and Chris munched on popcorn, laughing softly at the previews. The theater was filled with colorful lights and the sounds of excited chatter around them. Alex peeked at the trailer, imagining the heroes and their amazing powers. Every scene made their hearts race with curiosity and delight. When the movie started, the friends were completely absorbed by the story. They watched superheroes fly, battle villains, and save the day with courage and clever tricks. Sara gasped at the thrilling action sequences, while Chris cheered quietly. Alex tried to guess the plot twists, feeling fully engaged in the story. During the most suspenseful scenes, their hands gripped each other lightly, sharing the excitement together. The dialogue in English caught their attention, and they repeated some sentences quietly to practice pronunciation. They laughed at funny moments and shouted in surprise at daring stunts. The movie became both entertainment and a learning experience. By the midpoint, Alex noticed new vocabulary in the subtitles. She pointed out words to Sara and Chris, practicing reading aloud in whispers. Chris tried to explain some idioms he recognized, and Sara was eager to join. The friends realized that movies could be a fun way to improve their English naturally. The heroes' teamwork inspired them to talk about their own friendship. They imagined themselves as superheroes, helping each other overcome challenges in school and life. Laughter and playful debates filled their corner of the theater. Each scene sparked conversation, creativity, and language practice. Action-packed sequences with daring rescues and clever inventions amazed the trio. Chris pointed at a clever gadget and joked about using it in real life. Sara and Alex laughed, creating playful scenarios where they could be the heroes. The movie sparked imagination and English practice at the same time. As the climax approached, their hearts pounded with suspense. Alex whispered predictions to her friends, Sara shared her favorite scenes, and Chris described characters' personalities. They realized they understood more English than they expected. The story helped them gain confidence in speaking and comprehension. After the thrilling final battle, the heroes triumphed, leaving the friends cheering and smiling. Sara exclaimed, "That was amazing!" Alex and Chris agreed, discussing the plot twists and their favorite lines. The shared experience strengthened their bond and motivated them to practice English together more often. They lingered in their seats as the credits rolled, repeating memorable phrases and practicing pronunciation quietly. Alex tried to mimic the heroes' catchphrases, and Chris joked about creating their own superhero team. Sara laughed and suggested writing a mini-story about them. The theater had become a place of learning, laughter, and friendship. When they finally left, the friends stepped into the cool evening air, still buzzing with excitement. They talked about the story, heroes, and lessons learned, feeling accomplished in both entertainment and language practice. The experience made English learning feel natural and fun. Walking away from the theater, they imagined their next adventure. Each hero's journey inspired them to create stories of their own. Chris, Alex, and Sara felt proud of themselves for learning English in a fun and engaging way. The movie had given them joy, knowledge, and memories to treasure forever. Chapter 4. Warm Coffee in the Evening. The evening sky painted soft hues of orange and pink as Chris, Alex, and Sara walked toward a small coffee shop. The air smelled of freshly brewed coffee and baked pastries, inviting them to sit and relax. They chose a cozy table outside, enjoying the gentle breeze. Sara smiled and said, "This coffee is delicious," savoring the warmth in her hands. Chris stirred his cup slowly, feeling the calm settle over him. "I love this peaceful moment," he whispered, watching the city lights begin to twinkle. Alex took a deep breath, enjoying the aroma of roasted coffee beans. They all felt the fatigue from their long, fun day melt away with each sip. The friends talked softly, sharing thoughts about the movie and the books they had explored. They laughed over funny moments and retold exciting scenes, practicing English naturally. Sara tried using new vocabulary she had learned, and Chris corrected her gently when needed. The conversation flowed like a warm river of friendship. Alex looked at the people walking by and described their actions in English. Sara followed with her own observations, pointing out gestures and expressions. Chris joined in, trying new phrases with a grin. They felt more confident with every sentence, enjoying learning without pressure. The aroma of coffee, the soft hum of evening chatter, and the cool air made the moment magical. They noticed the shadows of trees dancing on the pavement as street lamps flickered on. Alex commented on the beauty of the evening, and Sara nodded in agreement. They felt peaceful and happy together. Each sip of coffee warmed their hands and hearts, bringing comfort after the excitement of the day. They talked about their favorite parts of the superhero movie and joked about creating their own stories. Laughter mixed with the soft clinking of cups created a soundtrack of friendship. Sara mentioned a funny scene from the bookstore, and Chris recalled a tricky word he had learned. Alex suggested they write down new words to remember them. The friends realized that even simple conversations could help them grow in English. They smiled, feeling the day's achievements quietly. The city lights reflected in their cups as they continued their chat. Chris imagined a scene from the movie in real life and described it vividly. Alex joined in, adding playful twists to the story. Sara contributed dialogue, practicing pronunciation carefully. Their conversation became a lively performance of imagination. They noticed the changing colors of the sky, deepening into shades of purple and blue. Sara commented on the beauty, and Chris agreed with excitement. Alex suggested they capture memories of the day through words and sketches. The evening became a perfect blend of learning and enjoyment. The friends shared dreams and ideas for the next day's adventure. They imagined fun challenges and creative projects, speaking in English all the while. Their voices carried softly in the evening air, full of curiosity and energy. Each idea sparked more laughter and encouragement. As the night deepened, they finished their coffee and felt grateful for the day's experiences. Alex suggested they take a small walk before leaving to enjoy the quiet streets. Sara and Chris agreed, happy to continue talking and practicing together. The friendship grew stronger with each shared moment. Finally, they stood to leave, feeling warm inside and out. They thanked the coffee shop owner, promising to return. Walking home under the stars, they reflected on their adventure, proud of how much English they had practiced and how many memories they had created. The evening was simple yet unforgettable. Chapter 5. The Lesson at the Bus Stop. The three friends walked down the busy street toward the bus stop, chatting about all the fun they had during the day. They noticed the colorful signs on the buildings and street corners. Alex pointed at a shop and said, "We know many English words now." Sara smiled, repeating some words she had learned, trying to remember their meanings. Chris laughed, proud of how much they had improved. As they reached the bus stop, the city lights glimmered on the pavement. An old man approached them, looking a bit confused. He asked, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to Central Park?" The friends felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They realized this was their first real chance to speak English to a stranger. Alex took a deep breath and explained the directions clearly, pointing at the street signs. Sara added some details about which bus to take and where to wait. Chris confirmed the information and smiled at the man. The old man thanked them warmly, appreciating their help. The friends felt proud and more confident than ever. Walking back to the empty benches at the bus stop, they talked about how helping someone had made them feel special. Sara said, "It's amazing how English can connect us with people." Alex nodded, realizing that learning English was not just about words, but also about communication. Chris agreed, thinking about how they could help others next time. They watched the buses arrive and leave, noticing the different routes and numbers. Alex read the signs aloud, helping his friends remember new vocabulary. Sara repeated the words softly, trying to pronounce them perfectly. Chris made little jokes, making the learning fun and memorable. The street was quieter now, with only a few people passing by. The friends shared small stories about times they had tried speaking English before. They laughed at mistakes and praised each other's improvements. Each little success gave them more confidence to keep learning. Sara spotted a small bookshop across the street and suggested they visit it another day. Alex and Chris agreed, imagining all the English books they could read. They planned to practice reading signs and labels every day, making English a part of their routine. The excitement of future adventures kept their energy high. As they waited for their bus, they noticed the subtle changes in the evening sky. The orange glow faded into purple, and street lamps illuminated the sidewalks. Alex commented on the colors, and Sara tried describing them in English. Chris added his own words, practicing new phrases without hesitation. When the bus arrived, they climbed aboard and found seats near the window. The bus ride became a chance to review new words, talk about the day, and imagine tomorrow's adventure. They kept speaking English, feeling proud of how much they had learned. Laughter and chatter filled their small corner of the bus. Alex looked out the window at passing streets and buildings, describing everything in English. Sara joined, adding details about colors and shapes. Chris practiced phrases he had been unsure about earlier. Together, they turned the ride into a fun, educational journey. The friends noticed other passengers glancing at them with curiosity, smiling as they spoke confidently. They realized that learning English could be fun and practical at the same time. Helping the old man had been a small moment, but it left a lasting impression on them. Finally, the bus reached their stop, and they stepped off into the cool night air. They felt proud of themselves and excited to continue learning. The city lights reflected their happiness, and their friendship felt stronger than ever. Each day, each adventure was shaping them into confident English speakers. Chapter 6. The Way Home. The bus rumbled softly as it moved through the city streets, carrying the three friends toward home. Chris leaned back in his seat, smiling and stretching his arms. "This was a really good day," he said, his eyes shining with excitement. Alex and Sara nodded in agreement, feeling the same happiness after a full day of adventures. They looked out the window at the passing lights, noticing the shops and signs they had read earlier. Each word they recognized made them smile. Sara whispered new vocabulary to herself, trying to remember it. Alex repeated the words aloud, practicing pronunciation and confidence. The gentle hum of the bus and the rhythmic tapping of wheels made it easy for them to reflect on the day. They remembered helping the old man, laughing at the funny book, and cheering during the superhero movie. Every moment had been a learning experience as well as fun. Chris pulled out a small notebook he always carried, writing down new English phrases he had heard during the day. Sara added her notes too, making little sketches of signs and objects to help her remember. Alex suggested they review the words together tomorrow, excited about continuous learning. They shared little stories from the day, explaining their favorite parts in English. Alex talked about the movie's action scenes, while Sara described the coffee shop ambiance. Chris recounted the moment they helped the old man, smiling proudly. Speaking English together felt natural and fun. The bus slowed near a familiar street corner, and the friends noticed the sunset turning the sky pink and orange. They pointed out colors, shapes, and street signs, practicing descriptive sentences. Each observation became a mini English lesson, blending learning with the beauty of the evening. A few other passengers glanced at them curiously, smiling at their cheerful chatter. The friends didn't mind. They were too busy enjoying their practice. They realized that speaking English confidently was not just about words, but about expressing themselves with joy. Sara suggested that next weekend they could explore another part of the city and learn more English in real situations. Chris and Alex agreed enthusiastically, thinking of the possibilities. Planning new adventures gave them energy, even after a long day. Alex noticed a street performer playing guitar nearby. They started describing the music and rhythm in English, trying new adjectives and phrases. Chris laughed, adding imaginative descriptions that made Sara giggle. Learning became playful and interactive. The bus continued its route, and the friends reflected on their progress. Each small success of the day had boosted their confidence. They realized that every word spoken and every sign read was a step forward in mastering English. As the bus approached their stop, they packed up their notebooks and practiced a few last phrases. Sara said a cheerful goodbye to the bus driver in English, and Chris repeated polite expressions he had learned. Alex reminded them to keep reviewing new words at home. Finally, they stepped off the bus into the calm night air, feeling accomplished and joyful. The day had been long but fulfilling. They held hands briefly, smiling at each other, knowing that tomorrow would bring new chances to practice, learn, and enjoy English together. Chapter 7. Coming Home. The three friends opened the front door and stepped into the warm glow of their home. The familiar smell of dinner and clean floors welcomed them. Alex ran ahead to the living room, smiling brightly at his parents. "We spoke a lot of English today," he announced proudly, feeling accomplished. Sara and Chris followed, laughing and recounting small stories from their day. They told about the funny book, the superhero movie, and the coffee shop's quiet evening. Their parents listened carefully, impressed by how much English they had practiced in just one day. The parents smiled and gave them hugs, praising their courage and effort. "We are so proud of you," their mother said softly. The children felt warm inside, knowing that their learning and fun had been noticed. This support made them even more confident. They all gathered around the dinner table, still talking about their adventures in English. Sara described the street signs, and Chris shared the little notes he had written. Alex suggested they plan a new outing soon, excited to keep learning and speaking together. The room was filled with laughter and stories, blending learning with family warmth. Every shared experience became a memory they would treasure. The children realized that English practice could be part of their daily joy, not just schoolwork. After dinner, they helped clean the table and washed their hands. They continued speaking English as they described the chores and their favorite parts of the day. Even simple tasks became lessons in vocabulary and confidence. Later, they sat by the window and watched the evening sky change colors. Sara pointed out clouds and stars, trying new words. Chris added imaginative descriptions, making Alex laugh. Observing the world became another playful way to practice English. Alex opened his notebook and quickly jotted down words and phrases he wanted to remember. Sara and Chris did the same, sketching objects and writing sentences. They promised to review these notes before their next outing to improve even faster. Their parents occasionally joined the conversation, asking questions in English. The children answered eagerly, proud to communicate without hesitation. This interaction showed them that learning English could happen naturally at home too. As the night grew darker, the friends felt tired but happy. They reflected on how much they had learned and how much fun they had. Each small success of the day added to their confidence and motivation for tomorrow. Before bedtime, they shared a few last sentences in English, correcting each other gently and laughing. They talked about what they would do next weekend and imagined new adventures. Their excitement for learning had become part of their everyday life. Finally, they got ready for bed, brushing their teeth and putting on pajamas. They whispered goodnight in English to each other, feeling accomplished and joyful. Today was a day they would remember forever, full of learning, laughter, and friendship. Chapter 8. Playing in the Park. The morning sun shone brightly as the three friends walked into the park. The fresh air and green grass made them feel happy and energetic. Alex pointed to the playground and suggested, "Let's start with the swings." They ran eagerly toward the swings, laughing all the way. Sara picked a swing and started pushing herself high into the air. Chris counted 1, 2, 3 as he tried to jump on the slide. They enjoyed the playful morning, feeling the freedom and joy of the outdoors. Each movement became a fun way to practice English phrases naturally. Alex noticed a group of children playing soccer nearby. "Do you want to join them?" he asked. Sara nodded, and Chris smiled. They ran to the field and introduced themselves in English, feeling proud to communicate with new friends. The children taught them a few words in English while playing together. Alex passed the ball shouting, "Go, go, go!" Sara cheered, "Great goal!" And Chris laughed after missing a kick. Playing games made speaking English easier and more fun than they expected. After soccer, they decided to play hide and seek under the big trees. Sara closed her eyes and counted loudly, 1, 2, 3, while Alex and Chris ran to hide. They giggled quietly behind the tree trunks, practicing new vocabulary as they whispered to each other. Alex suddenly jumped out, shouting, "Found you!" and everyone laughed loudly. The sound of laughter echoed through the park, mixing with the singing birds and gentle wind. They felt happy and confident in using English in real situations. Sara suggested they try a new game called tag. Running and chasing each other, they learned words like catch, run, and fast naturally. Chris was it first and shouted, "I will catch you," with enthusiasm, enjoying the playful learning. They stopped under a shady tree to drink water and rest. Talking about the games they played, they practiced sentences in English. "This park is amazing," said Alex. Sara and Chris nodded, feeling proud of their progress. After resting, they walked around the small pond, watching ducks swim gracefully. Sara described the ducks in English. "They are swimming so fast." Alex and Chris added words about the colors and shapes of the flowers nearby. Nature became a perfect classroom for practicing English. Time passed quickly, and they realized it was almost lunchtime. They sat on a bench, reviewing the new words they had learned while playing. The morning at the park had been both fun and educational, strengthening their friendship as well. Before leaving, they took a group photo near the fountain. Alex said, "We will remember this day forever." Sara and Chris smiled, agreeing wholeheartedly. Each small adventure had helped them speak English with more confidence and joy. Finally, they waved goodbye to the park and promised to come back soon. Walking to the library, they continued practicing English, sharing sentences and ideas. The park had given them not just fun, but also a new love for learning and exploring together. Chapter 9. The Cool Library. After leaving the park, the three friends walked to the library, feeling excited about the quiet and cool atmosphere. The tall shelves were filled with colorful books, and the soft carpet made their steps gentle. Sara whispered, "This place feels magical." Alex and Chris nodded, eager to explore the shelves. Sara spotted the children's section and ran toward it, her eyes shining. She picked up a storybook and showed it to Alex. "Look at this picture," she exclaimed. The colorful illustrations made them laugh and talk about the story in English. Chris joined them, flipping through the pages carefully. Alex approached the librarian politely. "Excuse me, can you help us find more adventure books?" The librarian smiled warmly and guided them through the aisles. They felt proud to use English to communicate and understood the directions easily. Each interaction built their confidence and excitement. The friends sat on a soft carpet with a pile of books around them. They took turns reading aloud, correcting each other gently, and asking questions about the stories. Chris said, "This story is funny," and everyone laughed. Reading together made English learning enjoyable and lively. Sara found a book about animals and shared interesting facts with Alex and Chris. "Did you know a giraffe's tongue is very long?" she asked. Alex laughed. "That's amazing." Chris added more words about the animals in English, practicing speaking naturally. Time flew as they explored different sections, from fairy tales to mysteries. Each book introduced new vocabulary and ideas. Alex tried to summarize a story in his own words, and Sara gave him encouragement. Their English skills grew quietly but surely. They discovered a quiet corner with soft chairs and a small table. Sitting together, they wrote short sentences about their favorite characters. Sara wrote about a brave princess, Alex described a clever detective, and Chris created a funny animal story. Creativity and English learning went hand in hand. Alex suggested, "Let's make our own story using what we learned today." The friends agreed excitedly and began to combine ideas from all the books they had read. They laughed at the silly combinations and corrected each other's English gently. As the afternoon sun began to shine through the tall library windows, they continued reading and talking. Each story helped them imagine new worlds and inspired them to practice English. Sara said, "I want to read every book in this library." Alex and Chris laughed, feeling the same excitement. Before leaving, they thanked the librarian politely and shared what they enjoyed most. "We learned a lot today," said Chris. Sara added, "And it was fun too." Alex smiled, realizing how much their English had improved just by exploring and enjoying stories. They packed their favorite books carefully in their backpacks. Walking toward the exit, they shared their favorite moments and new words with each other. The library had become a magical place for learning, friendship, and adventure. Finally, they stepped outside, feeling happy and inspired. The quiet library had given them knowledge, confidence, and a love for English that would last forever. They promised to return soon for another wonderful day of reading and learning. Chapter 10. Going Shopping. The friends decided to visit the supermarket after their library trip. The bright aisles were full of colorful fruits and vegetables. Chris picked up some apples and asked, "How many should we buy?" Sara smiled and suggested, "Let's take 6 so everyone can have some." Talking in English while shopping made the experience fun. They moved to the vegetable section and pointed at the fresh carrots and leafy greens. Alex asked, "Can we make a salad?" Chris nodded, practicing his English while choosing the ingredients. Sara laughed. "We are learning English while cooking in our minds." Each conversation helped them feel more confident. The friends reached the dairy section and looked at the milk and cheese. "I like this cheese," said Alex. Chris asked, "How much does it cost?" Sara explained politely in English, and they all felt proud to communicate successfully. The supermarket became a lively classroom for English. At the checkout, they counted the money together. Chris said, "I know the numbers in English now." Alex and Sara helped him check the prices. They smiled when the cashier complimented their English. Simple, everyday conversations made them more comfortable and excited about learning. While leaving the store, Sara suggested, "Let's try to say the names of things in English every time we shop." Alex and Chris agreed enthusiastically. They realized that even routine activities could improve their English skills and make the day enjoyable. Walking through the mall with their shopping bags, they practiced short sentences in English. Chris said, "I like the apples we bought." Sara added, "The salad will be tasty." Alex laughed, "And we spoke English the whole time." They felt proud and motivated to keep practicing. They stopped near the snack aisle and found their favorite chips and drinks. "Let's get some treats too," Alex said. Chris asked politely, "How much is this?" Sara paid while speaking English to the cashier. Every small interaction made them feel like real English speakers. At the mall entrance, they reviewed their shopping in English. Alex summarized, "We bought fruits, vegetables, cheese, and snacks." Sara added, "We learned new words and practiced speaking." Chris concluded, "It was fun, and we did it all in English." They laughed and felt accomplished. The friends continued to explore nearby shops, using English to ask for prices and descriptions. They enjoyed conversations with store staff and each other. Each sentence they spoke increased their confidence and vocabulary. Before leaving the mall, they found a quiet corner to rest. Chris said, "Shopping in English is so different but fun." Sara agreed, "I never thought learning could be like this." Alex smiled, realizing how much they improved in one day. As they walked toward the parking lot, they discussed their favorite purchases in English. They even tried to create sentences about recipes using the ingredients they bought. Each small practice made learning practical and memorable. Finally, they left the supermarket happily, holding their bags and chatting in English. They promised each other to find more fun ways to speak English in daily life. Shopping had become more than a task. It was an adventure in learning and friendship. Chapter 11: The Taste of Lunch. After finishing their shopping, the 3 friends felt very hungry. They decided to visit a nearby restaurant with a cozy atmosphere. The menu was full of colorful pictures and new words in English. Alex smiled. "I think I can order in English now." Chris looked excitedly at the menu and pointed at a sandwich. "I want this one, please," he said clearly. Sara asked the waiter politely, "Can I have a salad with dressing?" They all felt proud because they could communicate without asking for help. Alex chose a burger and practiced his English while ordering. "I'd like a cheeseburger, please," he said with confidence. Chris and Sara cheered quietly for him. Each order they made boosted their courage and made them feel more independent. While waiting for their food, they talked in English about the day's events. "The supermarket was fun," Sara said. Chris added, "and we learned many new words." Alex laughed. "I never knew ordering food could be so exciting." Talking naturally made them forget they were practicing. When the food arrived, the aroma made their mouths water. Chris said, "Everything looks delicious." Alex smiled and practiced new words: burger, fries, salad. Sara joined in. And drinks too. They realized vocabulary could be learned through real experiences. They ate together, sharing bites and describing flavors in English. "This burger is juicy," Alex said. Sara nodded. "The salad is fresh and tasty." Chris laughed. "I like this sandwich so much." Each sentence they spoke made learning fun and memorable. The waiter came back to ask if everything was okay. Alex replied politely, "Yes, everything is perfect, thank you." Chris added, "We enjoyed our meal." Sara said, "And your service is wonderful." Speaking English in real situations made them confident. After lunch, they talked about their favorite dishes in English. Alex said, "I loved the burger." Sara added, "The salad was my favorite." Chris smiled, "And I learned new words for food." Every small discussion helped them feel proud of their progress. They practiced asking questions in English about ingredients. "Does the salad have cheese?" Chris asked. The waiter answered patiently, and they learned more words. Each interaction became a mini lesson, making English feel useful and practical. Before leaving, they paid the bill together. Alex said, "I can count money in English now." Sara checked. "We got everything right." Chris smiled. "And we did it all by speaking English." They realized even small tasks could improve their skills. Walking out of the restaurant, they reflected on the experience. Sara said, "Ordering food is easier than I thought." Chris added, "And it's fun when we speak English together." Alex concluded, "Every day we practice, we get better." Finally, they left the restaurant, feeling full and happy. Their stomachs and minds were satisfied. They promised each other to find more everyday chances to speak English. Lunch had become another adventure in learning and friendship. Chapter 12. Traveling by train. The morning was bright and fresh as the three friends prepared for their trip. They packed small bags with snacks and water. Excitement filled the air as they talked about the town they would visit. Alex smiled. "This is going to be a fun adventure." At the train station, they saw people hurrying to catch their trains. Chris pointed to the timetable and asked in English, "Which platform do we need?" The station was full of announcements and signs in English. They felt proud they could understand some of the words. Alex went to the counter to buy tickets. "I would like 3 tickets to the next town, please," he said clearly. The clerk smiled and handed the tickets. Sara whispered, "You spoke English perfectly." Chris nodded, feeling excited for the journey ahead. The friends walked to the platform, their tickets in hand. The train arrived with a loud whistle, and everyone boarded quickly. They found their seats and looked around, noticing signs and labels in English. Every small detail felt like a new lesson. As the train started moving, they watched the scenery outside the window. Green trees swayed gently in the wind, and small houses passed by. "Look at the beautiful trees and houses," Sara exclaimed. Alex and Chris agreed, enjoying the view and the moment. They practiced speaking English while describing what they saw. "The river is sparkling," Alex said. Chris added, "and the flowers are colorful." Sara pointed to a farm. "Look, there are cows grazing." Talking about real scenes made learning natural and fun. The friends also asked the conductor questions in English. "Excuse me, is this train stopping at the next town?" Chris asked politely. The conductor answered kindly, and they felt proud they could communicate. Each interaction became a confidence booster. During the ride, they shared snacks and talked about their plans. Alex said, "We should take photos for memories." Sara suggested, "Let's also write what we see in English." Chris laughed. "Every day we practice, we improve." Learning was part of the adventure. They noticed new English words on signs and advertisements in the train. Sara asked, "What does this word mean?" Alex explained carefully, and Chris repeated it aloud. They discovered that vocabulary could be learned anywhere, not just at home or school. The journey lasted about an hour, but it felt shorter because they were having so much fun. They talked, laughed, and pointed out interesting things outside the window. Every conversation in English made them feel closer as friends. As the train approached their destination, excitement grew. "We are almost there," Alex said. Sara added, "I can't wait to explore the town." Chris smiled, "and practice even more English." They realized traveling was a perfect way to learn new words naturally. Finally, the train stopped at the small town station. They grabbed their bags and stepped onto the platform. The fresh air and colorful streets welcomed them. They promised to continue speaking English as they explored, ready for the next adventure. Chapter 13. History at the Museum. The morning was bright as the three friends arrived in the new town. They were excited to visit the museum. Alex said, "I love seeing old things." Sara added, "And learning new words in English." Chris smiled, feeling ready for a day full of discoveries. Inside the museum, they saw ancient paintings hanging on the walls. Each painting told a story from long ago. "They are so old and beautiful," Chris whispered. Alex and Sara nodded, studying the colors and shapes carefully. They walked past displays of old tools, clothes, and coins. Sara asked, "What were these used for?" Alex explained in English, and Chris repeated the words. They realized learning English could happen while exploring history. In the center of the museum, they found a large dinosaur skeleton. "Wow, it's huge!" Alex exclaimed. Sara laughed. "It looks like it could come to life." Chris took out his notebook to write new English words about the exhibit. They read the information cards beside each display. Alex said, "This card has many English words we can learn." Chris asked questions to practice speaking. Sara repeated the words aloud, enjoying the rhythm and sound. In the history section, they saw models of old houses and villages. "People lived very differently in the past," Sara said. Chris added, "And their clothes are so unique." Alex practiced describing the items in English. The friends visited an art section with portraits of kings and queens. They talked about the colors, clothes, and expressions. "The king looks serious," Chris said. Sara replied, "And the queen has a beautiful dress." They were learning naturally. In one corner, they discovered old musical instruments. Alex picked up a small drum and asked, "Can we try this?" A museum guide smiled and explained how it was used in English. The friends felt proud to understand and speak. They also visited a science and invention section. "Look at this old machine," Sara exclaimed. Alex explained its purpose in simple English. Chris laughed. It looks very complicated, but we can describe it easily. After walking through the museum, they sat in the garden outside. Chris said, "We learned so much today." Alex added, "And we spoke English almost all the time." Sara smiled, feeling confident and happy about their progress. Before leaving, they took photos and wrote captions in English. "This will be a memory and practice at the same time," Alex said. Chris nodded. "Every museum visit can help us learn more English." They felt ready for the next adventure. As the sun began to set, they walked to a small cafe near the museum. They talked about the exhibits and shared what they remembered. Learning English while exploring had made their day exciting and unforgettable. Chapter 14. Fun at the Playground. After leaving the museum, the three friends spotted a colorful playground nearby. Sarah's eyes lit up, and she said, "Let's go play." Alex and Chris smiled, feeling excited for a new kind of adventure. They ran towards the rides, ready to have fun. The first ride they tried was the Ferris wheel. "I love looking at everything from up high," Alex said. Sara laughed as they slowly went around. Chris pointed at the tiny cars and buildings below, describing them in English. It was a fun way to practice new words. Next, they went on the roller coaster. Sara shouted with excitement, "I am so happy!" Chris held tightly to the seat. "This is a little scary." Alex laughed and said, "It's thrilling." They were happy to use English to express feelings of joy and fear. They also played on swings and slides. Sara swung high, calling out words she had learned in English. Chris and Alex took turns sliding down and describing the movements. Playing while speaking English made the activity even more fun. Near the sandbox, they built a small castle. Alex said, "This is our English castle." Sara added, "Let's make towers and walls." Chris counted the blocks in English as they built. They realized that even play could help them improve their language skills. They rode a small train around the playground track. Sara said, "I feel like a conductor." Alex pretended to blow a whistle and spoke in English. Chris narrated the scenery around them. Using English while having fun made them more confident. In the game corner, they tried puzzles and mini-games. Sara asked questions in English, and Alex and Chris answered. Each correct answer made them smile. They felt proud that they could communicate easily while playing. At the climbing wall, Chris said, "I can climb higher than yesterday." Sara cheered, and Alex encouraged both of them. They practiced using English phrases like, "I did it," and "be careful," while helping each other. As the afternoon sun began to fade, they enjoyed ice cream near the playground entrance. Alex described his favorite flavor, Sara shared hers, and Chris compared both in English. Speaking English while eating made the experience more memorable. Before leaving, they sat on a bench and watched other children playing. Sara said, "I love playgrounds for practicing English." Alex nodded, "And we can describe everything we see." Chris added, "It's fun and helpful at the same time." They took photos together with the Ferris wheel in the background. Alex said, "These photos will remind us of our English adventure." Sara and Chris laughed, knowing that each trip was a chance to learn and practice. Finally, they walked back to the street, tired but happy. "We used so much English today," Chris said. Sara smiled. "And we had so much fun," Alex added. "I can't wait for the next adventure." They felt proud of their progress and friendship. Chapter 15. The End of the Adventure. The week of adventures had finally come to an end. Alex, Sarah, and Chris met at their favorite park to talk about their trip. "We learned so much this week," Alex said with a big smile. Sara nodded, feeling proud of their progress. They remembered visiting the shopping mall first, seeing all the bright lights and busy crowds. Then they went to the bookstore, exploring books and learning new words. The superhero movie gave them fun memories and English practice. Each place brought new excitement and learning. After that, the coffee shop evening was calm and relaxing. They enjoyed warm drinks while sharing stories from the day. The bus ride home became another lesson in reading signs and helping others. They felt their confidence growing steadily. Their parents were proud when they returned home each day. "You spoke English all day," their parents said. Alex, Sara, and Chris smiled, realizing how much they had improved. These moments made the adventures even more special. The next morning, they played in the park, hiding behind trees and laughing together. They rode swings, slides, and the Ferris wheel, practicing English naturally. Each game was both fun and a learning opportunity. At the library, they asked the librarian for books and explored new stories. Shopping at the supermarket helped them name fruits and vegetables in English. Even ordering lunch at the restaurant was a chance to use their English confidently. Traveling by train to the small town was exciting. They admired the scenery, pointed out houses and trees, and spoke in English the whole way. At the museum, they learned history while describing old items. The playground gave them joy and practice at the same time. Finally, sitting together at the park, they reflected on all the adventures. Sara said, "I am no longer afraid to speak English." Chris added, "We can use English anywhere now." Alex smiled and said, "This trip changed everything for us." They laughed about funny moments, shared favorite memories, and made plans for future adventures. Each memory reminded them how fun and useful English could be. They were proud of what they had accomplished together. The three friends hugged and promised to keep learning and practicing English. They felt excited about the next adventure waiting for them. Speaking English was no longer scary. It was a fun challenge they loved. Looking back at their week, they realized it was more than just a trip. It was a journey of friendship, courage, and growth. They knew they would always remember these special days. As the sun set, they walked home happily, talking and laughing in English. "This was the best week ever," Alex said. Sara and Chris agreed wholeheartedly. Their adventure had ended, but their love for learning English had just begun. Wow, what an amazing adventure we had with Alex, Sara, and Chris. They learned so much English in just 1 week, and so can you. Every little step counts when learning a language. Remember, speaking English doesn't have to be boring. Explore, have fun, and use English in your daily life. Don't forget to subscribe to Easy English Official for more exciting adventures, tips, and real-life English practice.